Do you know what time it is?
What time is it?
It's podcast time. Yeah, dig it? The Dynasty Podcast is brought to you by Jube's Family Restaurant. Family owned and operated since 2002. Jube's Family Restaurant's gourmet pizza and fresh food seafood is better than dirty, dirty sex. Get your ass to Jube's Family Restaurant and don't forget to tip your fucking waitress.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the assholes on the Dynasty tonight. That's right. It's time to put on makeup. It's time to dress up right. It's time to raise the curtain on the Dynasty tonight. Why do we always come here? I guess we'll never know. It's like some kind of torture to have to watch the show. And now let's get things started. Why don't you get things started? It's time to get things started on the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, sexuational. This is what we call the Dynasty Podcast.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode number 2 of the Dynasty Podcast, brought to you, of course, by Jube's Family Restaurant. This is a special draft analysis edition, and coming to you from the Tom Berkowitz Trucking Riverdale Studios, this is your perfectly ranked commissioner, Eric Costanza, and of course, and he's suffering from a bit of a hangover currently at the moment, Bub Polucha.
Oh, no way. I feel great. I feel great.
This is being recorded the day after our draft here on a Tuesday night. So, Bub, you just mentioned earlier you just put pants on for the first time today.
Literally, 7:35 p.m. was the first time I had pants on.
You gonna power through this, Bub? You gonna power? You gonna be okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'll be all right.
All right,
I'll be all right.
Okay, bear with me, listeners. I apologize on Bubba's behalf. So, Bub, we actually really completely just kicked shit off. We kicked dicks last week on the Dynasty Podcast. We just started things out with a huge bang. I personally gotten swamped with great positive feedback and coaches just letting me know like what their favorite part of the show was, and I appreciate everybody for doing that. Keep it coming. Ben, Johnny C, Zach, Whiffen, they all gave me a thumbs up in some form, and Brandon he verbally let me know, and I quote, "We get better and better and sound like professional podcast hosts, Bub."
Well, that's obviously.
Yeah,
that's a given.
That's a pretty good compliment. And Chris Heaney, he tweeted at the Riverdale Gazette, hashtag first podcast, hashtag I love it, hashtag glad it's back, hashtag I got a question for the new segment, hashtag RDC, reigning Dynasty champion. He likes to talk in hashtags.
He loves hashtags. Stupid. I don't know.
And Bub, you actually even texted me, I think after you listened to the show personally, and I think you really enjoyed it, and you listened back to it, and I
just find it absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Like I actually record the podcast, and so I've heard of all the stuff, and I still laugh at it.
Right. It's different for us because we're holding back a lot of laughter as we're doing this. So when you and I get to kind of go back and listen to it, it's certainly entertaining for us that we can actually enjoy it. And I'm sure you like I think you mentioned you like the mock draft jingle.
Yes,
I came out of
completely
nowhere.
Forgot about that one from last year. That was just music to my ears.
And I'm sure you like Ren Geyer there at the very end, a little secret sauce surprise for you.
That gave me a boner.
I'm sure it did. And then just the YouTube hits alone, the YouTube views, you can see how many people viewed the podcast, and usually it averages anywhere from like 10 to 14 views. Care to take a guess how many views we're at as of right this moment?
I'm going to guess 18.
30.
Wow.
30.
That is, well, is that 30 different people?
I don't think
Could that be one person watching it 30 times?
I don't think so, but honestly, I think everybody probably clicks on it once, so I mean...
Well, maybe Whiffen just really liked it, and he just listened to it like 12 times on his own.
Yeah, that counts, though. That counts.
All right, I suppose.
So, and then one other quick thing, Bub, before we kind of get into this show. Last week, we kind of neglected to update the coaches about one of the new things that's going to be happening in this show. We were so excited and ready to kind of get shit on our way.
There goes the commish ranking.
Well, kind of, you too, though, you know.
Yeah.
You had a part in this, in a way, if you think about it.
I guess.
The coach's interview upgrade, where we're going to have the opponent of that particular...
Oh, yes.
Can you tell us what's going on with that shit?
We're basically going to have the opponent of the guest, the coach that is on the podcast, the guest coach. Their opponent that week will call them out or yell at them or berate them or just give them a nice positive message, whichever they feel like.
Right. So basic. I think you'll be reaching out to whoever the opponent is, and then you'll kind of say, "Hey, can I get a message for whoever it is?"
Be anything you want.
Yeah, it could, anything.
It could just be like, "Hey, don't forget, Tuesday night you have to be home 6:30 for dinner."
Excellent. That should be good. Just more interaction again for everyone to get involved. And then, so on the show here today, we're going to break down the draft. We're going to talk about who we feel had great drafts, had bad drafts, maybe make some predictions, and much more, Bob. And then on the interactive segment later on, we all know that last year we had CBS fantasy guru Jamie Eisenberg on the show, which to kind of talk to us about CBS and about the his feelings on the drafts and fantasy and whatnot. So this year we actually have someone who he wasn't on the show per se before, but he did kind of make an appearance via an email that we read off. We may all love him at this point because we've been studying and probably using a lot of CBS for our studying for the draft. But Dave Richard, he is going to be on the show, the CBS fantasy football guru. He knows his shit. He makes weekly appearances on Toucher and Rich on 98.5 on I think Thursday or Friday mornings, and so he will be joining us. Bub, how do you feel about that?
You know what? I like the word guru.
It
has a good ring to it.
Are you a guru at anything in life?
Four squares.
4 squares. I was going to say 4 squares.
Math. So I could. Some might call me a math guru.
Sure. Guru at anything else, Bob?
No.
Okay.
This is the draft day. Analysis jingle. Oh yeah.
All right, Bob. So let's discuss the draft. It was a fun time, obviously.
It was.
You had a good time?
I had a great time.
Great. I know I've heard a lot of good, positive things. And how do you think the pace went? Like the pace of the draft? I think it didn't. I personally think it didn't go quite as rapid fire as last year.
It was a little slower.
It was a little slower, but it wasn't crazy slow. I mean,
no, it was okay.
Yeah, we had a lot of trades and negotiations going on. For the most part, I got good positive feedback, and I think we had counted 12 trades that involve future draft picks. So I think we probably even had more than that with just some trades that had nothing to do with future draft picks, and that's a lot. I want to say that's a record.
It's a lot of trades.
Right. So let's talk about we'll break down the draft a little bit, and then we'll get into some of the shenanigans. So let's talk a little bit about maybe some reaches, Bub. Who do you think maybe some picks that maybe you feel they could have maybe got a little bit later on? And before you answer that, I want to just say last year when we talked about some reaches, I'm going to read to you some of the reaches that we said last year, and
okay.
I'm going to probably I want to give a disclaimer because we were very wrong. Adrian Peterson, we said, we'll reach for him.
Turned out okay.
Turned out pretty good. Eric Decker, we said, for Phil, who I think he took him in like the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah,
ended up being a good pick.
Yeah.
And then Stephen Ridley, we called Phil out again. I think he took him in the 4th, 5th round. Ended up being a great pick. So I just want to throw that out there that we're wrong a lot of the time. And speaking of that, we were pretty wrong with our mock as well, right?
Yeah.
What did we end up getting?
I think only the first 3.
First 3, and then everything from there dominoed.
Just shit the bed.
So let's move forward though. Some reaches this year. What do you think, Bub?
Let's see. I mean, this isn't as bad, I would say. But for example, I think John probably could have got Jimmy Graham in that second first-round pick he had.
Yeah.
And I don't know, he maybe would have taken Julio anyway.
Right.
But maybe he could have taken A.J. Green and then got Jimmy Graham, something like that. Not really a reach, but just a slight reach, I guess. I mean, Phil taking David Wilson, but he didn't have a pick in the third, so if he really thinks he's